Jobbing playwright and GP that's been living and working in Hackney for the last 20 years. I'm here to tell you about my project Sensorinet, which is a project designed to reinvent the theatrical auditorium for the sensory impaired. So 2 slides before I turn to tell you how I got there. This child's corrected vision allows him to turn his head to see the orange giraffe. That means now his muscles and nerves in his neck are motivated, can move, an image now forms on his retina, and his brain can start registering what an orange giraffe is, and it will hold a reference for him for the rest of his life. So the next stage up in sensory stimulation is the sensory room. This has audio, visuals, complex images, tactile images, balls for balance and stimulation. Now, walking people of sensory absence round an area like this made me really realise how important perception was for mind and body development, but really made me wonder, how can I combine this with a narrative? So then I had to do some serious blue sky thinking, and I learned as much as I could about perception. I met with a lot of sensory impaired artists and audiences and thought hard about how I could create a story using the tools of the sensory room. So on my journey, I met with this guy, Andreas Muller, who works for Nanikwa. He's a computer programmer on the Silicon Roundabout, and he was quite fascinated with my ideas. And we began to think through this project of reinventing the auditorium, but to phase our project. And so the first story we've come up with is called Walls Have Ears, and it's for the deaf. So, what would an auditorium look like? Well, this would be, our set's entirely digital, and we can project that directly into the auditorium. Our story starts in winter. This is a still of the kind of set. This snow does move and can form words, etc. So that's the kind of thing that you might walk into. We've also got our set on a phone app that we can maybe use later on in the story. So our central character is this girl here. She is a lonely, homeless street performer who is deaf when we first meet her in the dead of winter, and we feel her fluttering anxieties. During the course of the story, in spring here, she meets and falls in love with a capoeira artist, who of course is a brilliant vocalist and percussionist as well. And through summer, they fall in love, but they fall out of love because of this difficulty they have in communicating. So they fall apart from each other. When it comes to autumn, in a whirlwind, they are brought back together again. This is the kind of example of how our set animates. Now, you, as an audience member, when you walk in to this dark winter's day, and of course deaf audience members as well, will be carrying a lantern that looks something like this. Now, we called this a vibing. We made that up. It stacks and hangs, and essentially what this does is it lights up and vibrates to the exact tune of the protagonist's heartbeat, giving an extra dimension for the sensory impaired. This is our dancer, Shisato Minimura. Shisato is a deaf dancer, and I'm delighted to say that this year she was selected to be one of the dancers for Unlimited, which is the South Banks Disability Dance Festival. So, with the collaboration between B3 and the Mixed Reality Lab, this is what we're going to do. We're going to wire up Shisato's heart rate and respirations rate through some software and program the lanterns to vibrate up and light up exactly to what's going on with her physically. And we've given the lanterns a bit of a narrative of butterflies being trapped inside the lantern. At the end of our story, when she kind of finds her peace, the butterflies will get released from the lanterns. This exciting space is the Sonic Immersive Media Lab at Goldsmith University, which is spanking new, 2 weeks old, which I was very fortunate to visit, which is where we propose to develop our project. This is already an auditorium which can have some intersensory stuff going on, but we want to kind of build on that and see what we can do for the sensory impaired. So, it's a very sort of creative and very dedicated project. What we need now is additional funding to the support we've received, and we're also looking for a London venue to be our home through the phases of our project. We do imagine that we can reinvent all existing auditoria for the sensory impaired, but also what that means is retell how stories are told by artists. Dame Emily Glennie is our main mentor, and she is informed of all milestones. So we hope that some of you want to come on the journey with us. Thank you very much for listening.